Apple has updated the new MacBook Air and Mac Studio with brand new chips, and we got our hands on them. So, in this episode of the Macworld podcast, we're talking about the new M4 Macs. Stick around and find out more. Welcome to the Macworld podcast. I'm Roman Loyola here with Jason Cross.
Good morning.
And Michael Simon.
Hello, sir.
The second part of Apple's M4 Mac rollout just happened with the release of the M4 MacBook Air and the new Mac Studio. We posted reviews of these Macs earlier this week, so we're going to review them in today's show. Now that we're into the fourth generation of the M processor, we're well into the cycle of incremental updates on the Mac. These new Mac models, they have the new chips with a few other minor updates. But as a whole, this is kind of an incremental update. In other words, it speeds and reads. They're faster. There's a few new features like the Thunderbolt implementation. The MacBook Air has a new color. I guess my point is what I'm trying to get at. We had this revelatory review a few years ago where we had to talk about designs and features and stuff like that. Now that's all taken care of because we're setting those kind of ways for a while, and we're just getting chip updates now
For the next little bit, yeah. Until they do something like change the display or something like that. Yeah, we're pretty much into this.
There's that rumored OLED update coming, I think, in 2027.
Sure. Let me mark that down on my calendar. Hold on.
That's another one that's always 2 years away.
Yes.
No, I'm sure the Pro will get one at some point. I'm also sure that you will not be able to tell the difference. The Pro display is fantastic. The Air display is fantastic.
Next kind of thing is the Air would be nice if they had HDR, right? There's a lot of HDR content out there. You know, it's kind of the next. At some point, they'll change these things, but that point is not now, and it's pretty much the same system with a chip update and some nice things like one of the big ones is the display thing, driving two external displays plus the laptop display, which was a limitation of the Air before.
Yeah, there's no more clamshell compromise, I like to call it, anymore with the MacBook Air. So when we talk about the MacBook Air, because that's Apple's most popular Macintosh.
And it's going to be even more popular now. I mean, Roman gave it 5 stars, which I don't think I've ever seen him give a Mac. And I honestly, I'm pretty cynical when it comes to reviews. It's automatically a 4, and then you got to prove to me that it's higher.
Yeah.
I had no.
Yeah.
There's really no criticisms of the new MacBook Air. The price is right on. It's cheaper. It starts with 16 gigs of RAM. The chip is great. The display is great. The size is great. The portability is great. Thunderbolt 4. The camera is actually great again. Finally.
They improved the
really
camera.
good.
It's the center stage camera. People always have a wish list. They're always like, oh, I really wish it had a SD card slot. I really wish it had that, and there's MacBook Pros for that. But honestly, for what the Air is and for the expectations that Apple has set and everything, this is just kind of, like you said, there's speeds and feeds upgrades, but they fixed a couple of the nagging issues that people have had. And the price is they didn't raise the price. They give you decent. I still think everybody's going to be happier splurging for the storage upgrade. But other than that,
If there is one flaw, so to speak, but this is kind of like a legacy flaw with Apple Macintoshes, and is storage. The baseline storage is never really.
Well,
is always
I'm not a Windows
undercutting.
person like Jason. Is 256 seems fairly standard for a Windows laptop in that price range too?
Yes, in that price range, yeah.
Yeah, so that $999 MacBook Air comes with 256 gigabytes of storage. I'm with Jason. I think you should upgrade that, which means you're going to have to pay, a couple extra $100 to go to 512.
Yeah, it's $200. It also has Thunderbolt 4, which is pretty fast. Those drives are relatively affordable now. So, if you don't need it right now, you can upgrade down the line.
If you don't mind it being external, you're almost always better off just getting a Thunderbolt drive or a fast USB-C drive or something. But the whole point of a laptop is you take it places, and if you want to have access to all your stuff without lugging around a drive and a cable, I would spend the extra $200 and get the. You also get, going from $999 to $1199. You get double the storage, but you also get the full GPU. The cheap version has the 8-core GPU, which it's not like it's going to be bad, and it's not like these are gaming machines by any stretch. But it's nice to have the full chip you paid for.
So this MacBook Air has, over the M3 that it replaced, it has the better display support, has a faster chip, has a improved camera, and you also get the sky blue color. If you want it, it replaces space gray. Here's, for people in the video, here's
I
sky
like
blue.
space gray.
Yeah, I like space gray too, but
I kind of,
midnight's fine.
it's
Yeah,
nice,
it's true.
but I wouldn't pick this color.
I
There's
would go with
nothing wrong
midnight,
with it.
but that's
Right. I even like Starlight more than this sky blue,
Okay.
but I also drive an orange car, so you know.
And it's just nice to have color as an
That's why
an
Apple
option.
sells four of them. Yeah, that's good.
And it doesn't get fingerprints and stuff, so it doesn't look cheap. So it looks.
It's not quite sky blue, more like metallic light blue.
Yeah,
based on the
it's a
photos
very
I've seen.
pastel, very Eastery light blue.
It's not as dark as the blue on the iMac, and I haven't seen the ultramarine iPhone in person, but I think it's even lighter than that.
It's
that
lighter.
phone.
It's more. It's
definitely lighter
paler.
than that,
More
yeah.
pale than that.
It's darker than the iPhone 15 blue, which was really, really light, almost like white. So it's a little bit bluer than that. I don't know. I want to work on Apple's color team, because it must be a lot of fun to come up with all right, how blue are we going to make this thing? Nope, that's too blue. No, that's too light.
So that's the MacBook Air. I have the full review on macworld.com. I mean, I feel like we're short shrifting it, but there's not.
No, there's
It's
not
a
a
good
ton new.
laptop. It's
Yeah,
not a.
right.
It's not a ton
It's really
new,
good. I
so.
don't know what they do with the M5 to make it any better other than add an M5. Even the design, usually you can kind of see, all right, they can do that. There's not much. It can't get much thinner. It can't get much smaller. The bezels are, maybe a millimeter or 3 around it, but otherwise, it's a really nice. It doesn't need the notch. I don't know why it has that big giant notch, but other than that, it's a fantastic laptop for $999. If you can swing the $1199, I think that's probably the sweet spot now with the better GPU and the 512 storage. But even if you want to get that $999 one, and when that's on sale for Black Friday for $800, man, that is a really good value.
My advice is, if you have an M3 MacBook Air, the only real compelling reason to upgrade to the M4 is if you really do rely on that external display support and you're just tired of having to close your laptop all the time. Because it's a faster machine, but it's incrementally faster, so you probably may not even notice it unless you're doing really long file renders or something like that. Everyday use, you're not going to notice it.
And, listen, this isn't the kind of machine, really none of them are, where people upgrade every single generation. Like Macs, it takes 3-ish, maybe 5, for some people to say, okay, I need a new one. It's not like the iPhone or even the iPad.
But if you have an M1, or especially if you have an Intel machine, it goes without saying you need to upgrade. But if you have an M1 and you're using that old design, it's a pretty compelling machine.
I want to meet the person who's using Intel MacBook Air every day and upgrades to an M4, because that's mind blowing at this point.
Whoa!
Yeah.
It'll be like you transported 50 years into the future. It is so much faster, and everything about it is going to be so much newer.
Apple also released a new Mac Studio. The Mac Studio that we reviewed is the M4 Max version of it. They also released a M3 Ultra version, which is taking the place of being the fastest Mac in Apple's lineup. Although we didn't get any hands-on with it, but we've seen results online about the M3 Ultra. The M4 Max, this is an incremental update from the M2 Max, maybe more so because we didn't get an M3 Max Studio. So you're going to get a huge performance boost between the M2 Max and the M4 Max. You get Thunderbolt 5 with the new Mac Studio, but the design is the same. The ports, they didn't change the ports at all. So it is another chip.
It didn't get any of the Mac Mini design cues. I thought maybe it might, but the power button's still on the back. It looks it's identical. I mean,
yeah, I think the Mac Mini was them taking the old Mac Mini and giving it the Mac Studio design cues, which we kind of expected for a while. So I think this is at least for the next 2 or 3 years, this is probably the design we're going to get. Gosh, I would love one in Midnight or Space Black, but other than that,
Space Black,
I would look.
Neat.
Wouldn't that be cool? But
for sure.
But this is what you get. It still has the headphone jack in the front and stuff like that. I mean, it's the Mac Studio, except you're leaping from M2 to M4 or in the Ultra, the M3 Ultra, and that's a pretty big upgrade.
Yeah, in testing, I mean, Roman tested the M4 Max, and it's, as expected, a really good, really fast chip.
Yeah, we've seen that in the MacBook Pro, but it's
right.
Yeah, it's great.
Like, there's literally no reason right now to buy or even consider buying a Mac Pro because it's an older chip, and even if you need the internal storage, like just wait to see what Apple's going to do with it before you spend $7,000 on, a very outdated chip at this point. It's an M2 Ultra, and the cheapest Mac Studio is faster or as fast.
Yeah, Mac Pro is for people who have specific adding cards they need to use to connect to, studio video cameras or something. Like it's very specialized at this point. I gotta imagine for most people doing most things, including audio production and stuff like that, where you're just plugging in a USB something, you're just going with you'd be far better off with a Mac Studio, maybe a Mac Studio with a hub, a Thunderbolt hub, and you're so much better off.
And if you really need like 300 terabytes of internal storage,
right? Like, and it has to be internal. You can't have a Thunderbolt drive. You don't want to pay
Apple's insane prices for it. That's it. Like, that's it. You can't buy a graphics card like you used to. Like, it doesn't exist. Like,
no.
Those are the only two things: audio input output, PCI Express slots, and storage.
Even for the audio thing, almost everything is an external audio device. So it's got to be for like studio camera video production stuff where you have these like multiple plugs plugging in. I almost don't know who that's for.
With the rumors that there's no M4 Ultra, which appears to be the case, is Apple going to really keep this around, this M2 Ultra Mac Pro, until the M5, or are they just going to at one point?
What's happening?
Like one day we're going to wake up and it's gone.
Yeah, I know. I'd be fine with it. Like, I don't know how much market they're giving up to do that, but like, I kind of feel like that'd be fine. Maybe they could do a thing where it's like you can trade in your old Mac Pro for a Mac Studio.
I'd love to know the
money
numbers.
Toward
like,
a
how
Mac
many
Studio.
People last year bought a Mac Pro?
It's got to be almost nothing,
right? Like under
10,000,
right? Or 10,000. Okay,
I'd say it's under 10,000 globally, probably.
Yeah, it's funny because Apple doesn't make niche machines. They don't make machines for a particular market, and then the Mac Pro has kind of evolved into that. I mean, it kind of was to begin with, but it was a broader scope.
They did it to themselves. The Studio did it to the Mac Pro. Like when they released the Studio, everyone was like, okay, this is the new Mac Pro. There's no more enclosure. There's no more internal upgrades. It's the fastest Mac. But then they went and upgraded the Mac Pro. And it's like, well, wait a minute. Like, what are we supposed to do here?
Yeah, when everybody said back when they had the Intel Mac Pro that, wow, this is old. You really need to update this. What's going on? This is way behind. And they came back and they said, well, we recognize that there's people who really care about expansion and stuff like that. So they couldn't have shipped the Mac Studio and just been like, that's the Mac Pro. Because it's got no expansion. other than what Apple calls expansion, which is like it's got USB ports, but like what those Mac
they
Pro
called the
people
studio
called
modular when it came out, if I recall.
Yeah, what that
Yeah.
market that
Yeah.
who want a Mac Pro, they're like, that's not what I meant. I need to stick this PCIe card in there somewhere. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly who it's for. They're like, it has to be rack mountable and stuff. It's just such a it's got to be such a small market.
They could sell something that could turn the studio into a rack mount. It's somehow
you'll never be able to plug a PCIe card into it.
Well, so of course.
I don't know what the the issue of the holdup is, but yeah, I feel like if Apple got rid of the Mac Pro, I'd be like, there'd be a lot of noise from about 1,000 very angry people who make a lot of noise online, but it's ultimately would not really impact them.
And what's worse, not having it or selling a model that's almost twice as much as the high-end studio and inferior? Like, what's worse? I don't know.
I think it gets so little attention that it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's not worse or better. It's just there. Kind of.
I don't even know if Apple makes money on it. Like,
that's
I think,
true too.
But after the like sort of R&D and engineering cost and all that other stuff, like I don't know if they even ever recoup that on sales.
It's a lot of metal. It's a big Mac. Like, do they even have it on display in the stores anymore?
It sells for a lot more than its cost of goods, thousands and thousands more. But they spend a lot of time engineering this thing, the R&D and engineering and stuff that went into that, and it's like it can't be worth it. Except that they are just determined not to abandon this very specific market.
We haven't heard many rumors about the Mac Pro. Every once in a while, Mark Gurman will have like one or two sentences about it. And it usually is like, it's coming out the second half of 2025. That's usually it. There's never any other detail.
Like, you think there's a team of people at Apple like, well, what are we supposed to do today? Like, it's a Mac Pro team. It's like, well, I don't know. Do something. Figure.
So if it does come out in 2025, I mean, what is that chip? You know what? It wouldn't surprise me.
An M5 Ultra, I assume, with the same everything.
Oh, in 2025?
I think he said 2025, second half 2025. You know, theoretically, or on the schedule, according to the schedule that I've never seen, the M5 is slated to come out, this fall.
Probably November. That's like they've been doing that the last couple of years now with the MacBook Pro and maybe the iMac and possibly the Mac Mini. So we'll see the M5.
Here's what I think is going to happen. I think it's very quietly, maybe at WWDC, maybe this fall, get updated to the M3 Ultra, because there obviously is that now. And it's just not even, it won't even be like the home screen on apple.com. It'll just be there in the configurator. Why wouldn't
they just do that last week? Throw a paragraph at the end of the Mac Studio and say,
maybe
it's also available in the
they
Mac
didn't
Pro.
QA it. They don't have enough.
What do they need?
3
4
Ultras
more chips to sell? Like, how many people are going to buy?
Yeah, I don't know. And then the next real update will be maybe an M5 Ultra, like you said, which would be like next year.
I think they're going to just retire it quietly. It just won't be there.
Yeah.
What are they going to do with all those wheels?
I am 100% okay with that.
Yeah, well, yeah, sure, I am. I've never bought one, and well, that's not true. Like, way back when we had no choice, I did. Like, I had a Power Mac G4, but that was like the only desktop they made that wasn't an iMac.
It also wasn't a $10,000.
It wasn't, right. It was like a $1,500 or whatever. But I don't know. I just think it's crazy that it's like there in the store with the old chip for twice as much, almost.
For so much money, yeah.
I'm with Jason on his prediction of an M3 Ultra at WWDC, but I'm also going to make a wild prediction in that we'll see an M5 Mac Pro in November.
Maybe.
Just because it doesn't make sense.
Well, they never had an M5. It doesn't have a Max now.
Yeah,
so
that's what I mean. Going down to a Max,
although it would be faster. An M5 Max would be faster than an M2 Ultra.
What a wild turn if they started to offer a Max version of the Mac Pro.
Yeah, sure.
That was significantly cheaper. Like, drop the price of all of it.
Yeah. Like $3,500 or something. Yeah.
Yeah, make them all cheaper, more than the Mac Studio, but far cheaper than what they are now. That's an option. I just don't know. I just don't know. Like Mike. I just don't know it's worth the hassle for any of this.
No, right. I remember when they came out with the Mac Studio back in 2021. John Turnus said at the end of that thing, like, and now we've completed the transition, except there's one more Mac, but that's for another day. And we were like, oh, great. And then they came out with it. It's like, well, wait a minute. It's the same damn computer with the new chip. Like you did this big tease, like this MCU post credit tease for like this great new computer.
Everybody prior to that was speculating that there's something higher than the Ultra, or maybe they put 2 Ultras in it somehow or something like that. No, it's none of that.
No, it's the same thing.
Well, we have a full review of the Mac Studio on macworld.com. So go ahead and check that out and get more information about Apple's latest Mac. That does it for this episode of the Macworld Podcast, episode 926. Thanks to Jason Cross.
Thank you.
Thanks to Michael Simon.
Thank you, sir.
And thanks to you, the audience. Thank you for tuning in. You can subscribe to the Macworld Podcast in the podcast app, on Spotify, or through any other podcast app. You can also check us out on YouTube at the Macworld Podcast channel. Do you have any comments or questions? Send us an email at podcast@macworld.com or contact us through Blue Sky, Facebook, or Threads. Just search for Macworld and look for the blue mouse logo. Join us in the next episode of the Macworld Podcast as we talk about the latest in the world of Apple. See you next time.
It's true. They did support wireless. Yeah.
Just a second, Mike. Your microphone switched to your Beats solo headset.
Hey, why did that happen?
Yeah.
How do I change that?
So and you sound now you don't have a mic.
No, I had pressed the wrong button. How do I?
Okay. Because it also sounds different now.
Yeah, you sound tinny.
Well, what the hell happened?
Yeah.
Why did it change?
I don't know. It's weird because it just flipped over. Yeah, why don't you leave and come back and see if you can change the mic. Yeah. And I'll just edit this all out. That was weird. That's weird. It happened again, Mike.
Yeah, I just got a message. No, what's going on? How do I fix this? Wait, now it's on my MacBook.
No, I can't.
I don't
hear
hear
you
anything.
Okay.
Hop out and then
Yeah.
try cycling the hub.
Like more work for Roman to create.
Yeah, try power cycling the hub and then coming back. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, Mike, it happened again.
What the hell? Why?
We lost camera feed.
You know what
too.
happened? It happened right when you adjusted the arm. You reached up and hit
but that's
the
gotta
arm.
be.
That's
gotta be.
Does that?
I do that
okay,
12
so
times.
that's
all
coincidental.
Yeah.
That's coincidental.
That's pretty coincidence because he does that all day.
Yeah, it's just a tick that I have. All right.
How long has it been since you've rebooted your computer?
Probably a few weeks.
The good old.
Yeah, okay.
It's the good old turn it off and on again, man.
All right. Well, let me leave and come back, and hopefully we'll get through this. We got through most of the last time.
Yeah,
I thought it was fixed.
Yeah, I thought it was fixed too.
I was going to blame my phone mirroring. All right, hold on.
And you're so much better off.
I mean, you can put storage in it. Now is doing nothing. No notifications, nothing.
Yeah, that's weird.
I don't understand what the frig is happening. All right, hold on. At least we're in the home stretch now.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Part of me wants to leave these in the podcast.
Make a little supercut at the end.
Yeah,
just like the whole thing, but just like several times, like, why did it happen? You know.